Support WrestleTalk!
We've got new women's tag team champions, again. Logan Paul might be the best wrestler you've ever hated. And we got our first direct tease that Alexa Bliss is being recruited by Bray Wyatt. Far more importantly than any of that, the internet has been gifted with this photo of Omos's hand over Michael Cole's face. Caption competition time. Comment your best ones below and I'll read out the best on Monday's WrestleTalk news. I'm Ollie Davis and this is my review of WWE Crown Jewel 2022. In about 10 minutes. Bobby Lashley opened the show by making his entrance, then standing in the ring for about 5 minutes while a video package for his and Brock Lesnar's feud played, for Lesnar himself to then come out. That's the wrong order. Or maybe Bobby just needed the long video package to store up all his finishers, because Lashley hit 4 spears right out the gate. This turned into exactly what their Royal Rumble encounter from the start of this year should have been. Big guys spamming big move after big move. Bobby kicked out of an F5, Brock kicked out of all those spears. Unfortunately, no one kicked out of the Hurt Lock. They screwed the finish. Lashley had Lesnar trapped in the Hurt Lock. Brock pushed off the turnbuckles to land on Bobby on the ground, where the referee then counted the pin as Lashley's shoulders were on the mat. Bobbles then let go and looked at the referee like, what? Why did I lose? When the referee was making the 3 count about 6 inches from his head. In trying to protect Bobby in defeat, they actually made him look like an idiot. Lashley tried to get some heat back afterwards, continuing to beat up Lesnar. The crowd booed him, as Bobbles had worked a far more heel style than usually. Does this mean Lashley has turned heel? I have no idea, because Saudi Arabia shows us sometimes crazy one-shot deals where insane things happen that are never talked about again. Like those mechanical issues one time. Ahead of their women's tag title match against Damage CTRL, Alexa Bliss and Asuka were interviewed backstage by Byron Saxton, dressed as the Joker. Time to press the skip ahead 10 seconds button until this is over. But wait right there, jaded viewer! You can't do that anymore with formally inconsequential interviews. Triple H is in control now, and he'll put Easter eggs in the background like a crashed car or whoever that guy's hand was. This time, it was our first direct tease of Bray Wyatt's speculated Wyatt 6 faction. Since his return, he's mostly spoken about his own journey in demons. That's what he spoke about mostly later on too. But while Bliss was talking, we got our first bleed of the new Wyatt-verse into another on-screen character's behavior. The television screen between Bliss and Byron briefly flickered, showing Bray's new logo. Then, in the match itself, there was an odd flash of light on Alexa, and during her hot tag, the lights on the crowd all dipped to black before returning to normal. Triple H and Bray have got me so wrapped up in potential hints and teases, I'm fantasy booking storylines off of what could very well be a power failure. How would you book Alexa reuniting with Bray in his new gimmick? Let me know in the comments below. If you answered by her immediately losing her newly won women's tag team titles, you'd be correct. Bliss and Asuka lost their tag championships to Io Shirai and Dakota Kai in a decent match with an awkward ending. Alexa hit a twisted Bliss on Dakota Kai, but Io Shirai seemed randomly out of position on the apron. Asuka awkwardly brawled with Shirai outside in that way where they're mostly just looking at what everyone else is doing. While Alexa went up to hit another twisted Bliss, this was when Nikki Cross ran in, DDT'd Alexa for Kai to win back the belts. And most importantly of all, everyone respected the country's customs by covering up in bodysuits so as to not sexualize anything, which definitely worked. Scarlett Bordeaux doesn't look arousing in her skin-tight leather catsuit. Bullet dodge there! She was out for the match between Drew McIntyre and Karrion Kross, which was to take place in a steel cage to stop her from interfering again. Tempest told me you didn't see how a steel cage would stop her, as she could still spray Mace through the gaps. I said, you're not getting Mace through those gaps, buddy. He's 6'8", 315 pounds. They wrestled a decent match, but Kross is still struggling to connect with me or the audience at the level of his push. Scarlett sprayed Mace in Drew's face as he tried to escape through the door, an act she could have done at any point he was near the edge of the ring. The door did not need to be open for that master plan to work, which started a race between McIntyre escaping over the top of the cage and Kross getting to the door. Drew ultimately won in the best way a babyface should win an intense blood feud, by a technicality. If you haven't already, by the way, give us a subscribe. We put out daily wrestling news and review videos, and we'll have all the backstage happenings from Crown Jewel tomorrow. Judgment Day came out next with Rhea Ripley in a skin-tight PVC dominatrix outfit, which is far less sexy than seeing a woman's arms. And as usual, she was the difference maker in the match. Ripley stopped AJ Styles from hitting the phenomenal forearm after a fun but ultimately very six-man tag in the second hour of Raw field match, letting Balor hit a stiff coup de grace for the win. It's great that Judgment Day get another solid victory, further building their faction, while the OC are somewhat protected in defeat. Also, in arguably the most fascinating detail of the match, Michael Cole mentioned both the Bullet Club and Carl Anderson's New Japan Never Openweight title on commentary. If I was you, Tony Khan, I'd be very concerned about who my favourite Japanese promotion friend had suddenly started talking to. Michael Cole took a moment to talk about the location of Crown Jewel, the beautiful city of Riyadh. Oh my god, look at it, it's so progressive! The planes always fly home on time. Braun Strowman took on Omos in a big man match. It was actually quite awe-inspiring, seeing two such big specimens about to lock up. Omos making Braun Strowman look like a human of regular height. But then, unfortunately, the hard part came. The bell rang and they had to wrestle. As soon as they started clumsily fighting, all the anticipation and tension evaporated from the arena. At least the finish was good, where Strowman did an incredibly impressive running power slam on Omos. The Usos retained in a decent tag title defense against the Brawling Brutes, where Jay and Jimmy are so good at tag team near falls, I still get sucked into them, despite SmackDown announcing it'll be them versus the New Day next week, where if the Usos beat the New Day, they'll surpass the New Day's own record of longest reigning tag team champions ever at 483 days. There is no way they are not going to get to that match, yet I still jumped when Pete Dunne pinned Jay. The Usos ultimately won with a 3D off the second ropes, a 4D I guess. Bayley fought for Bianca Belair's Raw Women's Championship in a last woman standing match next, off the back of already losing their previous and first match, which was a ladder match. It's all a classic wrestling logic build to a standard match with no gimmicks. Aside from a magic moment when Bayley's kendo stick bounced off the floor to balance perfectly on the barricade for several minutes, nothing in this match went right. It was like they used up all their powers of execution and luck on that one thing. But it wasn't just sloppy execution. A lot of the spots were poorly designed in the first place. The idea of trapping Belair in the steel steps where she could just stand up, of trying to ram Bayley with a weak box push, of driving towards Belair in a golf cart at 5 miles per hour and then braking before you get to her. The use of golf carts in wrestling has been elevated to some pretty high extremes over the last few years. If you can't even get close to those expectations, don't use it. The finish, however, was genuinely smart. Belair made a Bayley sandwich with ladders as the bread, and then wedged it under the bottom rope so she couldn't get out. Surely Bayley can't fight for the title again. I feel like they're just filling time for Bianca until Becky Lynch or Sasha Banks can return. They then played a charity promo of Bayley helping kids with Down syndrome. Could you maybe put that somewhere else in the show that isn't immediately following her being a wicked heel? Bray Wyatt cut an in-ring promo furthering his character to now include mentions of family, specifically his own Rotunda dynasty, but also in pushing away his other friends when he became the Fiend. A very interesting theme considering the Bliss angle earlier in the show. She was his last on-screen accomplice, and she might be the first to rejoin him. And the main event annoyingly stole the show, as it was Roman Reigns putting on a banger against a man who more than held his own. The deeply unlikable but undeniably naturally gifted Logan Paul. He executed every move with flamboyant precision. He did the splits while leapfrogging. He popped his hips so much during his gut-wrench powerbomb, he went up on his tippity toes. He hit a springboard crossbody that even Montez Ford would go, oh, actually that's a bit high. I can't believe I'm gonna do this. He hit a perfect buckshot lariat. Better than Hangman Page's. I hate that I am saying these words! And it wasn't just his athletic ability, he had the charisma and timing of a tenured main event pro. No doubt helped by his training with HBK, he waited the perfect amount of time before his kipper. He milked the crowd reaction before hitting a flawless frog splash off the top rope through the table outside while live streaming. I hate him, I hate that he's so good and that I'm enjoying it. The Usos and Solo Sikoa brawled with Hogan's entourage, which also included his brother Jake, who came out with his own entrance on the Tron. Oh, he's definitely having a tag match with his brother in WWE. Logan re-entered the ring into a Superman punch and a spear for Roman to retain. But genuinely, There were a few moments there where I actually thought Logan Paul was going to win. This was absolutely excellent for what it was supposed to be and exceeded anyone's wildest expectations. Roman said off mic at the end, "I don't want to ever see him again," which means he will definitely see him multiple times again. What did you think of Crown Jewel? Let me know in the comments. This was arguably the hardest show of Triple H's era to book so far, serving two separate masters of WWE fans and the Saudi Prince. I think he managed that balance perfectly, with a legitimate 4.5-star main event, storyline development with Bliss and Bray, and the title change. Crown Jewel is 73%. Now head over to Parts Unknown to watch our brand new show, Survival Series.
Today, our fine competitors will be playing for the opportunity to win 100 pounds.
Holy shit! Are we taking the briefcase? Do we win the briefcase as well?
Hello, and welcome to our new hit show, Survival Series, where we've taken the most exciting and beloved round of Quizlemania and turned it into its own brand new show.